All right, so let's start at the beginning, Tammy, because Dylan now is 3.5.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's 3.5, and so he has an inoperable brain tumor. And tell us about that, and what are the doctors and the research and everything? What do they tell you now? And tell us about your daily life and when you found out. Just you got the floor.
We found out when Dylan was about 15 months that he had what's called bilateral optic gliomas that are in the chasm. That means it's inoperable brain tumors, and they're intertwined with his optic nerves. And you know, that was devastating because they said if they continued to grow, he'd go blind. Because them running from the front to the back of his brain, they impacted some other things in there. He wouldn't eat. We had to put in a feeding tube. And it took multiple different types of chemo at Duke to try to find something that would have any impact on the tumors. We finally found it was like a combo drug, which we consider our fourth and our fifth chemo. But we had to stop that a couple months ago because it was impacting his kidneys, and they were hoping he had enough chemo. With kids, it's not like adults with chemo that go for weeks. Adults go for weeks on end, and then then they stop. With kids, they can only give it like once or twice a month, or and it goes for years. Yes, I said years. And he was on that chemo for over a year. They were hoping for 2 years, but his body just couldn't take it. So we've got another MRI next month. The tumors are growing again, and we'll probably start chemo again in January.
For families that don't know or don't understand, what does it mean for Dylan's future when you say inoperable brain tumor?
What it means for his future, if the tumors do not continue to grow, he will go blind. I mean, if they continue to grow, he will lose his vision. And depends on what part of the brains they impact as to what other problems he will have. We did finally get them shrunk a little bit, and we were able to remove the feeding tube, but his vision is still at risk. And so they're intertwined with his optic nerve. If they were to do surgery, it would cause him to be blind permanently because they don't have a surgical technique that's delicate to get him from his nerves.
And you were saying too how, because he's so smart, Dylan is smart. We've had him in before, like a few months back, and he plays with Dad's phone, and you said that he downloaded all these YouTube videos, like on Wheels on the Bus. And how does that, most parents would get upset because their son does something like that, but how does it work for you guys, because you never take a day for granted?
The YouTube doesn't bother us. It's very hard when you've got a child this young and you're in doctor's offices for that amount of time. And we've actually been grateful for YouTube because they're small, they're short enough for his attention span. You can't put him in front of a movie and let him watch it like you can older children. So the YouTube really helps. So we don't actually mind that. But what we do is we try not to take our things for granted. We try to do things with him, and we're attempting, and we're counting on the doctors at Duke or some other research, or like fundraisers like this pediatric brain tumor research, and raising money for that to try to help the doctors and fund it to help us, because we have hope. We have hope that something's going to be found, and this is how our way of giving back, and to explain to people what's going on. And there are children out there. I mean, he was born with a brain tumor. I mean, I don't know how that happened. That's just what it turned out to be.
I know there are times when you just break down at night, and I know you have to be strong for Dylan and for the family, but do you ever break down as a mom?
Oh, of course. I mean, when he was first when he was first diagnosed, I felt like I was in this glass room screaming and nobody could hear me. Because, I mean, what did I do wrong in my pregnancy for, you know, I took my prenatal vitamins. I just kept thinking, what was, you know, because he was born with the thing. I mean, you know, and it just kept growing, and that's when they just got it at 15 months and realized what was going on. Of course I would give anything. I mean, he, you know, like I said, they don't know what caused the tumors. They don't know why he has them. But he, you know, we do our best to deal with every, you know, the constant doctors in his life. He has many ologists that, you know, you have to be at a research hospital. Do you know that his dentist is even a specialist? He has a special pediatric dentist that specializes in the effect of chemo on children's teeth. I didn't even know there was such a person like that.
You know, a lot of people that there's, you know, as there's different types of cancers, there's different types of chemos. And some chemos you take by mouth, and other chemos, you know, you have to have a port. And there's also different types of radiation that you can take. And the good news and the bad news is, the good news is it'll shrink the tumor in many cases. The bad news is the radiation that you have to take, especially as a kid, even as an adult, has long-lasting effect. And I'm not taking, when I say long-lasting, I'm talking about if, for example, if we just had Dylan and he had his radiation, then they can only do it for a short amount of time with kids. But it may be 5 years down the road before he can't hear out of one ear or both ears again. And now let's say that everything's good and the doctors are saying, hey, you only have to come once a year now. It's terrific. The scans are looking awesome. You still have to wait as a mom or dad and hold your breath and pray every day. Please, just do whatever I need to do for my son. If you have healthy kids, if you have a kid in your life that you just adore and cannot even imagine this happening, I'm telling you, the chances are getting more and more and more and more popular, unfortunately, with children who were fine when they were born, and you thought everything's great and you got bigger things to worry about, and then wham, this happens. Help these kids now and these families, please. We're doing this from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. today because we just need your help. Everybody got up this morning here to come in and volunteer. The radio station has given us 12 hours to do this. Everybody's done what we can do. Now the only thing we're waiting is for your phone call. Are you going to make it? That's the big question. Are you going to turn the channel because it makes you uncomfortable? I sure do hope it does, because these families are doing this every single day and they need some help. If you can call 1-866-975-CURE, it'll help you out a lot. Bob's Buddies and the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. We need you, man. Call right now, please, and help out.